It's a remarkable tafsir if you just want to totally study the Qur'an without going too deep into the Sunnah. I just want to look at the Arabic of the Qur'an. Muhammad al-Amin al-Shanqiti's text, Adwa al-Bayan, the illumination of the speech, is an awesome text. And it's a reminder to us of how great the Mauritanians are. I've said it numerous times and I say it again. Those are some of the greatest scholars on the planet, the Mauritanians. In terms of their hifz, their fahm, their understanding, and their itqan. They're incredible scholars. I remember there was a dear Muslim brother to me that went to Mauritania, or Shanqit, and they were talking to the brother, and they mentioned some books that he'd heard of, and they'd heard of the same book. And he said, oh, have you memorized it? And he said, oh, yes. And they started testing him and asking him questions on it. He didn't know that they were going to do this. Oh, subhanAllah, they're always, yes, you've memorized, what books have you studied? Oh, I've studied Tahawi. Oh, you've studied Tahawi's Bayan al-Sunnah? Yes. Oh, recite it to us. Bismillah. And all of a sudden he's going, oh, I haven't practiced, oh, it's okay, it's in your heart, it won't matter. And he was completely just taken aback. Because these are people that are used to going off of the heart. When they hear that you've recited something, you've memorized something, that means it's pulverized into your chest. Right? And so when you deal with teachers like that from Mauritania or Shanqit, they're used to that style. So when Muhammad al-Amin al-Shanqiti arrives in the Hijaz in 1949, they said that many of the scholars had never seen anything like him. It was remarkable how he came. And they gave him a set of books to memorize, and he finished them over about 5 months. And these were big sets of books, 4 volumes each. Memorized them. And he was reciting them back off the top of his head, and his head was moving back and forth, and he was rocking back and forth reciting the books. This man was in his 40s or 50s by that time. He's still memorizing books like he's quite young. But it just shows it's not the brain that gets old. It's the false ideas that get old. So people tell themselves, oh, I can't do it, I'm old. No, he came there in his 40s. So this is the thing, it's an amazing tafsir. The second type of tafsir is what's called the interlinear. The interlinear. A reader of an interlinear tafsir will find that the author of the work has gathered not just the verses, but also all the ahadith on the subject, strong, fair, weak, and fabricated, and then sifts through them, clarifying the sound from the suspect, the baseless from the well-established, the reasons for revelation, Asbab al-Nuzul, from the incidents of recitation, Waqi'ah. Now this includes books like the mammoth Jami' al-Bayan wa Ta'wil by Imam Abu Ja'far Al-Tabari. Imam Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari wrote this mammoth book. Some people put it at 30 volumes because it depends again on printing houses. Sometimes it's 22, sometimes it's 20. That is the biggest tafsir of the first 3 generations I've ever seen. Maybe it's not the only one. Maybe there are some manuscripts we don't know about, but it is huge. And so when he goes through the tafsir on certain ayat, he will spend pages and pages and pages. He will quote everything. Weak, strong, fabricated, fair. And you have to read Tabari carefully, because after Tabari does all of that, Imam al-Tabari rahimahullah, after he does all of that, then he starts to tell you, now, here are the following reports that you can't take from. And he will begin to list the reports that you can't take from. Then he will say, these are fair, but they can only be strengthened by other authentic reports. And then finally he quotes the authentic, and then after that he gives his ruling. You will notice that this is also a habit of the Shafi'ii scholars, which makes sense because Imam al-Tabari is a Shafi'i. Makes perfect sense. So they will discuss the well-established points, what's baseless, and Asbab al-Nuzul. Asbab al-Nuzul means the reasons for revelation. That means the reason why something was revealed. So often things happened to the Prophet ﷺ. Something would happen to him, or someone would ask him a question, or some incident would arise, and then he would receive revelation from Allah on a particular topic. And then the Waqi'ah is the incident of revelation or incident of recitation. Now this is a difference that I just want to clarify very quickly. The reason for revelation only happens one time, but the Waqi'ah can happen several times. Here's how. Some of the Bedouin Arabs came to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ one day, and they said to him, "What is the lineage of Allah? We know our lineage." And they began reciting who their fathers and grandfathers. What is the lineage of Allah? How is it that He is who He is? What is His lineage? What is His pedigree? And so Allah revealed the Asbab al-Nuzul is قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, all the way to the end. This is why it was revealed. But there were other times when he was in Medina where Jews and Christians would come to him and ask him questions, and he would answer with this same surah. That's the Waqi'ah. So the reason why it was revealed may be different to the Waqi'ah. So sometimes you'll be reading in a Tafsir book, but wait a minute, such and such says that he recited it on this day. Yes, but just because he recited it on that day or on a number of days doesn't mean there's a contradiction. It just means that that was the answer Allah told him to give on those occasions. The reason why it was revealed may have been on a different day. So I want to make sure that that's clear. So sometimes you'll have the reason for revelation. The reason for Surah Al-Ikhlas's revelation was the question by the Bedouin Arabs. But he answered on different occasions using that surah by Allah's command when the Jews asked him other questions, the Christians asked him other questions. Right? There's the summary of the Jami' al-Bayan. The summary of the Jami' al-Bayan is Tafsir al-Qur'an al-Aziz. This is by Imam Abul Fida Ismail ibn Kathir. Right? It normally appears in 4 volumes in big print in Arabic, but this is the small print, and it's one massive volume. This text received a vivisection from Dar es-Salaam Publications, wal-Iyadu billah, and the text was dissected and received a huge vivisection in which you cannot tell where King Fahd begins and where Ibn Kathir ends, and where the beasts, and I use the word advisedly out of respect for beasts, where those beasts have done their editing. So they've distorted, and they tell you on the front, but they use very soft and emotive language. It's like being told that you have cancer. They say instead you have a small lump on your back. They don't tell you it's cancer. It's very emotive language. This is a full abridgment of the Tafsir of Ibn Kathir. Full abridgment. Does that mean that all of it's not there? Yes. Surah Al-Ma'idah, the 5th surah, ayah 15. There has come to you from Allah light and a manifest book. I wonder what Ibn Kathir's commentary is on what the light is. Because every other commentary says under Nur, Yani Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You look under Ibn Kathir, you can't find it. What have they done with it? We've got the Arabic right here. Open it up. Oh, look, there's 4 pages of commentary proving that he is the light referred to in that passage. Wonder what they've done to it in the English. Maybe they forgot. Geniuses that they are. No. Ibn Kathir, remember, is a summary of Imam al-Tabari. What madhab is Imam Ibn Kathir? Shafi'ii. So he's going to adopt the same principles, which is what? Quoting everything on a particular topic. Every single thing. Baseless, strong, authentic. And then after all of that, he then lays out his case, discusses everything, wraps everything up. And this is what is called an interlinear. So for people who want to understand what ahadith are connected to this particular verse, you go to Ibn Kathir. For people who just are looking at the Qur'an itself, you go to Imam al-Shanqiti. There is a place where you can actually look at this which is uncorrupted and it hasn't been vivisected. You may care to write it down. It is Tafsir.com, it is al-Tafsir, A-L, then Tafsir.com. Al-Tafsir.com. There are over 200 commentaries of the Quran on there. Massive. Huge. Al-Tafsir.com. Huge. You'll find stuff in there, Arabic, English. They've really put in a lot of work on that website. That's why I always like to mention them frequently. So you'll find the Tafseer Ibn Kathir and the curious, scintillating brilliance that you have in your young minds. You'll type in Surah Al-Ma'idah, the 5th Surah, Ayah 15, and you'll hit the jackpot. Ah, here it is. And in your scintillating brilliance, you'll be able to read it and know that what I've said was the truth. There is another text that is similar to this. Lubab al-Ta'wil fi Ma'alim al-Tanzil. This is by Imam al-Husayn al-Baghawi. This is one of the great Afghani Shafi'is. Remember what I mentioned, that originally the Afghanis were headed in the direction of becoming Shafi'is. I mentioned this in the history class. But when the Hanafis in Central Asia became stronger and really they really impressed their fiqh upon them, they were impressed by this, and it led to a mass conversion of the Hanafi school. You'll find a lot of the early Afghanis, up until say the 5th century, you find a lot of Shafi'is that were Afghanis because of that reason. Imam al-Baghawi is one of them. This commentary in big print is usually about 4 volumes. This is a small print edition. Again, he breaks down a hadith. He goes into the reasons for revelation. And he is a very careful commentator. He's one of our great ulama. He's called the Muhyi Sunnah, the reviver of the Sunnah, because he was so strong against the people of Bid'ah that he used to terrify them by his books. Very, very strong. Big heart, hardworking, one of the great men of ilm. Al-Husayn al-Baghawi. Another text similar to this is that I haven't mentioned in your notes, is by Izzuddin Abdul Aziz ibn Abdul Salam al-Sulami, the great Al-Izz ibn Abdul Salam. This is his text. It's just called Tafsir al-Quran. Very short. It gives you a very basic, meaty presentation of the commentary of the Quran. But Al-Izz ibn Abdul Salam, his commentary is based on Al-Mawardi's. So you're really getting 2 commentaries in one. It's really good. Again, Shafi'is. Al-Baghawi, another Shafi'i. Imam Kathir, a Shafi'i. Right? Imam al-Shanqiti, a Maliki. Right? Then you have prescriptive or legal commentaries. Prescriptive or legal. All right? Al-Qadi Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi, in his Ahkam al-Quran, focuses on the principles of fiqh that are derived according to his particular madhab. In this case, the Maliki madhab. So a prescriptive or legal tafsir is when you're trying to read a tafsir to understand how certain verses are applied to the fiqh that you may follow or adhere to. So, in certain ayat of the Quran, the way that they are explained by a commentator and the evidences he may use are to explain a particular fiqh ruling. I will give an example. The way that scholars of tafsir that are from the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal would describe the opening ayat of Surah Al-Ma'idah regarding wudu would make the reader think or come to the conclusion that touching a woman with desire nullifies wudu. For a Hanafi, this would cause some complications because that's not their position. So this is why commentators that were of a particular school have written books on commentary to explain their position on a given topic throughout the Quran. Zakah, wudu, fasting, other issues with verses and other things. Other salient features mentioned in the prescriptive or legal work include detailing issues of consensus on the application or interpretation of a particular ayah.